Well, you know, in the Middle Ages, when you went out riding, or what have you, and you got hurt, like this guy has below, you pretty much got ready for a funeral, because, you know, medicine back then was, you know, healthcare consisted of maybe having some monks chant a few things over you and jiggle some beads at you. Next slide. But the Muslims had, you know, established medical schools with teaching hospitals. Next slide. Really, throughout, I mean, they actually spread quite a bit. Now, some of these are European, of course, but they learned from Muslim doctors. Next slide. Who translated things from a guy named Galens and Hippocrates. Next slide. These are some surgical instruments that they designed. They do look kind of nasty, but they're ahead of their time. Next slide. They were performing operations. This is a C-section here. Our physicians were stitching people up with sutures long before the West ever adopted it. Next slide. They were, actually, next slide. Again, as I said, they were in teaching hospitals. You can see here where you would watch an operation, watch a procedure, and learn from it. Next slide. And they also had, in their hospitals, you not only got very good care, but you would get, they would have musicians playing for you in the garden to help you recuperate. Now, I don't think that, you know, the best HMO in this country would pick up the cost of a Green Day concert in your hospital room. Next slide. They also perfected elixirs and syrups and pharmaceuticals. Next slide. And that's, of course, in Spain. You can see sort of a testament to that. Next slide. And they came up with some remedies for all kinds of things. This was in Morocco. How many do I have for time? 8:04. Next slide. Actually, the next one. Eye operations. Yeah, they were brilliant. They, you know, performed cataract surgery. Next slide. And the people that were the doctors back then were more than just doctors. They were lawyers. They were theologians. They were philosophers. They were real Renaissance men. Like this particular person is by the name of Abu Bakr Muhammad bin Zakaria al-Razi, or just known as Razis for short. He was actually one of the most brilliant minds in the Middle Ages. He made his mark on medical history by first diagnosing smallpox and measles and associated those diseases with human contamination. He would go, you know, he knew that you could get sick from things in the air. And when he would advise, if you're going to establish a medical center or hospital somewhere, what he would go and do is hang up strips of meat all over different parts of the city. And he would watch and see how long it would take for these strips of meat to putrefy and rot. And wherever, you know, it took the longest, he figured this was the most hygienic part of town. This is where you're going to want to start, establish your hospital. He was a prolific writer. When he wasn't, you know, busy compiling the biggest, most comprehensive medical encyclopedia of his day, you know, he took time to write books on theology and philosophy, astronomy, and anticipating Einstein by a good 1,000 years. He developed a theory that space and time exist in a continuum. The next slide. I'm sorry, that's one of Rose's works. Next slide. And there was this guy, Avicenna, or Ibn Sina, he was 10th century, looking a little bit like a Protestant minister in this slide. Go to the next one. That's a little bit better. He was a man really whose arrogance was only surpassed by his right to every bit of it. Owing to the sheer scope of his genius. He memorized the Quran at the age of 10. He went on to study medicine. Was a famous licensed physician by the time he was 16. He wrote something called the Canon of Medicine, which was 1 million words long. He summarized all of Greek and Syro-Arabic and Indo-Persian medical knowledge to date. His work remained a major scientific reference work in the West for more than 5 centuries. Literally cradle to grave, it talked about using forceps and geriatric care, it had sections on physiology, pathology, it just goes on and on. At the ripe old age of 21, he decided to turn his thoughts to Greek philosophy. And so he really wanted to figure out who this Aristotle guy was and what did he really mean. And so he spent a great deal of time trying to rectify Greek philosophy with Islamic philosophy. And he didn't quite succeed, but he gave it a hell of a shot. Next slide.